am întrebat mai multe persoane cum stăm cu accesibilizarea și am realizat seria de videouri Cercul vicios al accesibilizării.
So, my name is Vera Herold. I am from Lisbon in Portugal, and I have worked in the cultural sector all my life. I have been interested in questions of accessibility for a long time. It started in the 90s when we were discussing whether children should have access to culture and cultural events, and went on and on. The accessibility movement has been developing and including more and more people, and being worried about including more and more people in culture.
How do you find out about the needs disabled people have?
Well, as a motor, it was not about the needs, it was a real motor of wanting to share what I love so much. When working, I don't work directly events. As you know, I am coordinating a project that is starting to do accessibility for film education. We have to find out the needs via the communities themselves, because they know what they need. And some associations that work very specifically and very streamlined in a streamlined way on accessibility, they can also be very helpful. But you always have to work with the communities themselves.
How is it to think of a project that has accessibility at its core?
It's an exercise of putting yourself in someone else's shoes, because to do it right, you have to really try and think what is needed. What does a deaf person need? What does a visually impaired person need? What does a person in a wheelchair need? And so on. You will never know, because there is something called misplaced empathy. I have no idea how a deaf person feels. I try, and I really try, but I also have to know that there are limits and that I will never know. But we can work together and we can go a bit of the path together.
What advice would you give someone that wants to start like a cultural institution that wants to start making accessible events and so on?
Okay, the first advice I would give would always be: don't assume. Don't assume that you know, don't assume that you know what people need or that you're already doing a lot. To really talk to each community and then see what you can do. But also we have to start somewhere. There are things we cannot solve. If we can try to help people come to our institution, especially if we are working with children, we can tell them, we can try to transport them, but there are problems that we as cultural institutions cannot solve, but we can solve on our side. The lack of access and the lack of translation, description, and so on that most cultural events have. So really inform yourself, but also don't be afraid. It's overwhelming, but don't let it stop you.
What can you do today for a more accessible world tomorrow? It can be simple things or big things, you choose.
It can be do your job in your place and do activism for all the rest. I can give an example. I cannot solve the problem, for example, of a blind person who has difficulties with taxis who won't accept their guide dogs, which is completely unacceptable because they're not pets, they're working dogs, so by law they have to be accepted. But I can only help by being an activist and supporting. But I can help making film education accessible and getting money for that. And so that's what I'm trying to do.
Can you tell me one thing that you are taking with you back to Portugal from this event?
Ooh, one thing only. 3, 4. Okay. First of all, my heart is full. It was wonderful to see the film with audio description yesterday and the film with sign language and closed captions today, and especially to watch and feel the audience and these very concentrated, very focused children watching the movie and visibly enjoying themselves. So that was wonderful. From the conference, I bring back how little I know. And I also bring back that we have to start somewhere and do it and break that vicious cycle that's lying on the floor over there.
Thank you, Vera.
Thank you.
Seria de videouri despre cercul vicios al accesibilizării face parte din cercetarea CineTlab, organizată de Asociația Contrasens și este finanțată de AFCN. Pentru întrebări și sugestii, scrieți-ne în comentarii. Vă mulțumim!